Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning, or uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah, I am.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes.
Ooh, okay,
Let's
another
do.
episode. We're still here. Let's just get into the checkup. How are you?
I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right. This past week felt like it went by so slow.
Really now?
It did, but there was because there was work and everything, like it's
Mm.
much. But
Yee.
overall, you know what, I can't complain. I really can't. Looking forward to an upcoming housewarming
Oh
party that we're having.
yes, can't wait. Can't wait to see the new digs.
Yes, I can't wait to have everybody over,
Hmm.
just to, you have to christen the place,
Yes.
christen it a little bit. So
Cause
I'm excited about that. But other than that, I'm okay. How about you? What's up?
I'm good. You know, when you it's in these days and times, especially after the pandemic, uh getting people people gathering at the house is so rare, you know, outside of your immediate family,
It's
maybe like
true.
I know your parents or whatever, like they might drop by
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, but like it's rare that you could get together and just have people come and just chill at the place. So it's like
You know what I
your
mean? Like,
housewarming is usually going to be the one time for many years that a lot of people see your place.
right at one
So
time at
at
least,
one time, yeah. So it's like
Mm-hmm,
always a
mm-hmm.
nice kind of event to put together.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
And I was
excited.
gonna say, yo, girl, you need a vacation.
Girl, girl, if I ever tell you, oh, I need one. Okay. That's my next plan. Once we get
Mm,
over like
the
the
housewarming,
housewarming
yeah.
and stuff like that, in the summertime, I'm hoping, even if it's like local, like
Yeah.
meaning in Canada, I'm
Mm.
willing to do it. Um,
Well, if you're planning to do this summer, then definitely Canada can be a nice option.
but when you went to, where was it? Arizona?
Yes, yeah, Arizona.
I was like, I think I need to find myself in Arizona.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot, but I wouldn't advise you to go there in the summer. It's a different kind of heat. It's a desert type of climate. So that's a
Yowzers.
place me so maybe that's more of a spring fall
Maybe,
event.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I need to do something. You are so right with that.
Mm.
I need one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to think where my next destination is going to be. I definitely am in need to one, and I might do a nice, easy, quick. I usually have to do this elaborate planning if I want to own the itinerary, but I think I just want to do a quick, easy drop in a
Mm-hmm.
resort. Don't have to think about much for 3, 4 days. Actually, you know,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 days, something like that. Sometime in the next month or two. But yeah, definitely calling it. Winter is dragging on now here, and
Yeah, like I'm done with it. I'm done.
but yeah, otherwise everything's okay. I'm actually going to be going to Vancouver next week too for
Oh, look at you.
a work thing. It was not last minute, but yeah, so hopefully it's not too. I think Vancouver's warmer than Toronto, so even if
Yeah,
it's not as gorgeous Vancouver as normal, oh, it is rainy, at least it's not as cold as Toronto, so
that's
looking forward
true.
to check it out after the work beads are done. Otherwise,
Mhm.
everything's good, family's good, everything Chris.
Yes, Chris
Okay.
out. Yes.
So this week we wanted to do kind of we call it the shoot the shit or the
Mm-hmm.
there's shoot the shit and there's another word we use for it, but I
What, the
can't.
layback? The
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
We kick back, lay back, shoot the shit, whatever. We're chilling this episode. We're just gonna get into some topics that are top of mind and have a little, you know, back and forth, tete a tete, and talk
mm-hmm.
about it. And we'll do a call out, and that's what we're doing this week. I think
Yeah.
sometimes you wanna keep it loose,
Yeah,
hang
to spice
loose,
it up. You have to
spice it up.
spice it up. You can't have the same thing over and over. You have to do a little this, a little that. So we're doing a
Yeah.
little that this week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do that. And so we kind of go back and forth. So I'll just start with there's something that I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
bring up um this week is so it was announced either earlier this week or last week that Pharrell Williams was announced as
mm.
the new creative director for
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Louis Vuitton. I think it's specifically towards the men's line. So
Mm-hmm.
he is so the Louis Vuitton menswear. So Virgil Abloh, who passed away in 2001, that was kind of his purview, and so he's going to be basically taking Virgil's role at Louis Vuitton for the menswear line. And I think that
Mm.
no, the thing is, on surface level, like first of all, let me caveat before I get into anything. Like, I was obsessed with Pharrell Williams. He was husband material when I was in high school,
He
all the
still
way,
is, if I'm
as
to
you're
be quite
honest,
frank.
all the way up into university and past. Like, I always loved him. I'm a fan of him. Obviously,
Me too.
he's a musical genius. His style always spoke. I'd always loved his style. It was uniquely him, and he owned it. Loved it. He's had many partnerships with fashion houses, which makes sense. And even when he had a partner, he even has a partnership with Adidas as well. Like, he's had many. He's very connected to the fashion world and has had various roles in the fashion world. But this is the first time that he's been brought in house as an actual official designer
For couture,
and
like
creative
really.
director for couture. Like, Louis Vuitton is legacy fashion. This is not no Adidas. Like, this is like, and that's where that's where that tone came from, because I'm a huge fan and I believe he has a place in fashion. But I think it's Virgil Abloh had a background in street fashion. Like, he worked his way up into that role. Him and Kanye were very close. He was a protege of Kanye, and that's why it won Kanye's heart. So I mean, I'm wondering how Kanye's reacting to this news.
Sure did.
But obviously, we know from various reasons why Kanye wouldn't even be a part of that conversation. However,
no,
that was a big thing, a big deal for Virgil Abloh being a Black American, Ghanaian descent to take this role. But I mean, I think he had the foundations and he built himself towards being the creative director of Louis Vuitton. And at the time that it happened, I think he had, proved himself worthy, and he had a very unique vision for the brand. And I think it brought life to the brand. Again, I think Pharrell has a vision. He's a visionary in so many things. So that I don't doubt, but it's just more the fashion. A fashion designer is different than like
someone who rocks fashion.
Exactly. Why do you think there's so many people who are stylists? There are so much people who even are genius in dressing themselves, but try and get them to design. And here's a perfect example. I brought up Kanye. Kanye was a known great dresser as a man. He dressed himself amazingly. Like, how he put himself together was always, he's in the same bucket as Pharrell in terms of expressing himself through style and fashion. We know that's a known factor. But when he went to start doing his own clothes, it was lackluster. Like, it's his tone, it's his vision, but at the end of the day, it honestly didn't blow anybody away, to be honest. So that's to tell you, even though, I'm giving you that example of, even though that you can be an amazing dresser and put yourself together amazingly and dress other people really good, you yourself may not be able to, when you get in the design room, that's
a whole different ball game.
It's a whole different ball game. So that's the point I'm making. So that's for point number one, is that he had, like, I don't know. I'm here's why I'm kind of side-eyeing this. I think that they're doing this to appeal to the culture.
Yep.
It feels like a gimmick move.
It
feels like I don't want to say it came out of the blue, but I mean, I never, like, the minute it was announced, I was like, really? Like, where did this come from? Like, who even knew? I didn't even know, like, they were actively looking. Well, they must have been actively looking to replace Virgil. They needed somebody to have that role. But it's interesting. I'm so curious to how this came about. Like, if he put his name in the bucket, or if they contacted him,
or nobody else wanted the job,
or nobody. I think, well, maybe, who knows? Well, that's interesting.
Because we're not talking about like a regular schmegular designer or brand. We're talking about top echelons of brands, right? And so there's a lot of pressure behind that if you weren't like Virgil, who came up in the ranks and learned from the
Yes.
bottom up, right?
Yes. Yes.
To just step into that role and fill it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, a lot of people
It's
who
gutsy. That is pretty gutsy, I have to
it
say.
is. It really is. And that's why I feel like Pharrell. Here's my thing with this thing with Pharrell. I think personally, everybody's fashion sense is derived from their personality. Now, him being a visionary, right? Like his person, like you see that in his personality, which transcends through his clothes and
Mm-hmm.
how he dresses and how he puts things together. I always think that, you could take a style and
Yeah.
you could put it on 100 people, but the person who designed that style, it fits best. So you could try to put that on somebody else, that style that Pharrell is iconic for,
Mm-hmm.
but it might not translate well. It
Mm-hmm.
might not come across well. It might not, there's some people who they can go to a thrift store
Mm-hmm.
and they can find something that's really inexpensive and
Yeah.
make it look like $1,000,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not everybody can do that. I think that's something that's innately who you are. And
Yes.
it's expressed through your clothes. Now, Pharrell, to try to translate that into the masses clothing,
Yes, because it's
I
here's where
I I I
here's
don't
the
know.
issue, because when you're coming behind a brand, a legacy brand like this, how a legacy fashion house, yeah, you got to consider there's some foundational elements of the
Yeah,
brand, of the style. What do they call it? The style code book for that brand, for that fashion house,
exactly.
that you have to consider. And I'm not, I'm not doubting it. Here's okay. So that was my first point about, like, his fashion savvy might not translate that awesome for
Yeah.
as a creative director, but that's point one. My other point was that I just feel like there's other people, even if they're gung ho on getting that hip hop influence, there's just other people who are in that fashion world who
That
probably
could do a lot better.
could do a lot better, and deserve that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
You know,
another Virgil who has come up in the
another
ranks
Virgil. There's plenty.
and
Yeah. Yep.
who could definitely. Here's the thing is that it's not that I don't think that Pharrell doesn't have big bright ideas. It's
Exactly.
that whether it will translate well in the clothing on somebody other than him,
Hmm.
right? Because that's the whole knack of it all, and this um the real talent is being able to take something that a lot of people can wear and it look well on,
Hmm.
because this is a very high name brand, so a lot of people are going to want to buy it. A lot of people who are
Oh yeah,
wealthy or rich, they're going to want to buy the design, because whether we want to admit it or not, Black culture when it comes to clothing is very in right now. It's very in,
it's very much influenced by Black African
right?
American culture.
And like I've always loved Pharrell just like you, and I've always loved him because his personality, I can see it. I can see it right away. He
Mm.
doesn't have to talk. He doesn't have to sing. He doesn't have to compose, nothing. I just see his artistic qualities in
Mm.
how he carries himself
Yeah.
and how he dresses himself, on how different he likes to be. And
Mm.
I feel like that's kind of unique to the person. It's kind of hard to take Pharrell's style and make that a couture high end brand.
Mm.
And there's, like you said, there's so many people in the ranks who are just waiting, just desperately waiting, who have been in this game for their whole lives, who have gone to school for this, who have really, pushed to become a designer. And here we go, we're going to give it to Pharrell because he's famous.
Yeah, that doesn't sit right with
I
me. And
It
I think
doesn't
you made a
feel
good you made a
good.
good point that I didn't consider, and I haven't heard too much background of the conversation, but I maybe there would be some excuse me, there would have been people in Virgil's circle who probably could have been a good fit, but maybe they didn't want to.
That's a
I
lot
mean,
of pressure.
it's a lot of pressure, and maybe some people might be looking at them sideways, or you know
Yep.
what I mean. The man passed away, so somebody has to fill
Yep.
the role. But who
Right.
knows, like the politics? It was such a high profile role that I can imagine there's amazing. There's a lot of politics behind.
Oh, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. And I think that's one reason why Kanye didn't even try. I think
Well,
he
we
didn't even
know
try.
we know he's like I don't even need to explain why it's not even it wouldn't even be a conversation at this point.
No, because of the nonsense that he's been carrying on with these other
Yes.
brands,
Yes.
nobody's gonna want to do no business with him, and I get that, but that never stopped Kanye from trying.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Never.
Mr. Kanye, he he's one of those people who don't really like to take no for an answer.
Yeah, yeah, and he's already and he remember Arno, the head of Louis Vuitton, which is Arno. I can't remember his name, but that's one of the people that Kanye was like going ham on when he was so that he was one of the people he was heavily criticizing is the head of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, which is LVMH. So, but nevertheless, they said his first line will be released during Paris Fashion Week. And so that's when we'll see what he does. I mean, I wish him the best. I hate to say that it's getting nothing from wrong with him. If they offered him the role, hey, sometimes there's certain things.
If I was Pharrell, I would take that shit up quick, fast, and in a hurry.
There's nothing. I think it's an opportunity of a lifetime. So I don't wrong him for saying yes if he was ready for that responsibility. That's one thing. It's more I'm questioning Louis Vuitton's intentions
and their motives,
because it seems like they're the black dollar
is honestly, trillion and trillions, but
hip hop culture and Virgil being a part of that brand revived it. So I mean, I'm glad that they are making sure somebody is representing the culture. But I would have loved for them to get a designer who kind of put in that work and was living in that world, eating 100%. But good luck to him, and I'm hoping everything works out.
I mean, honestly, I do wish the very best for Pharrell, and he does have a lot of innovative thoughts, and you can see it, and so he might be able to bring something to the brand.
Yeah, that's for sure. He will bring something. Well, we don't know what it's going to be, but he's going to bring something.
I don't know if it's going to do well, but hey, it might just do well because of, and you see, that's the one thing I don't like about this is that they're willing to use Pharrell's name to sell their product, right? However, this is the first, Virgil was the first Black man to take on such a role in your brand. So I feel like, you're only going where the dollar's at. You know what I mean? Like you're only trying to appeal to where the dollar's at. You're not gonna, once the fad of Black clothing and culture is kind of past and we enter into a new, culture or fad or whatever, will you continue to have these pieces? Will you continue to produce them? Will you continue, to have people like Pharrell make your clothing? Probably I don't know. I don't know.
It's determined by the dollar, so
and that's fine. I mean, we've been doing trillions of dollars for decades.
Yes.
Right. However, it's with the fad, right? Because fads come in and they go out, and so most fashion houses, they have their staple pieces that really make them what they are, but they also, because of money, they want to keep up with the trend, right? They want to keep up with what's hot at the time, or they want to be innovative and put something hot out there, right? So, you know what, Pharrell, do the damn thing. Everything you seem to touch goes to gold. So I'm hoping the best for them. But there's one issue that I wanted to talk about because I've been noticing this as of late, and I'm just going to clump it together. But I do want to start off by mentioning, like, here in Toronto, I've lived here my whole life. I was born and raised here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I love my home, just like anybody else would. I love my home. But what I've noticed from when I was young till now, I just feel like the crime has increased. I feel like the violence or the toxicity has increased in after this pandemic and everything. I know why.
Mm-hmm.
I know why, right? I get it. Everybody's out here trying to make a dollar, trying to make everything stretch. I get it. But here in Toronto specifically, it never seemed to be this violent. Like it never seemed to be that violent.
Mm-hmm.
In like we mentioned in past episodes, on the train, on the bus, on the streetcar, people are being stabbed, people are being killed, people are being set on fire. I never grew up with none of that. None of that. Um Also, another thing, I was watching YouTube yesterday, and I've been noticing that toxicity is like the new trend
Oh
of
yeah.
2023. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what the hell it is. Every time you turn around, there's some sort of toxicity. And I'm noticing it more and more in relationships.
Yeah.
A lot more in relationships. Like, I don't know if maybe I had my head buried in the sand. I don't know what the hell it is, but everywhere I turn is like really toxic energy coming, like specifically in relationships of all kind, man and woman, woman and woman, man and man. It's
Mm-hmm.
just one big ball of toxicity. And I don't understand why I'm seeing it so much. I don't know if I didn't really see it before. I don't know. But like for instance, Blueface and
Oh
Krishan.
Lord. Oh Lord. That's a
That's a
whole
whole
documentary in itself.
in itself. Let me tell you. But what I took away from these young kids, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna call them young kids because
Oh yeah, they are
I'm a
early
lot older
20s.
than them, and they're
Mhm.
still trying to learn about themselves. Like I don't know what the hell these people are doing, but these two have started to make toxicity in a man and woman relationship normal
Mm.
and entertaining.
Did you see that comment that Chris Brown made about them?
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right. He's right. He's right. And you know what? Chris Brown had to bring it out. He had to show out, okay, because he wasn't having this. Now, everybody knows the story with Chris Brown and Rihanna. He made a mistake when he was a young man. Yes. Unfortunately, Chris Brown, I think you forget all the other women after
Right?
Rihanna.
Right?
I think you might have forget. But one point I must give him is that there are lots of white men doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yet they don't have it thrown at them at every given turn. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he put a whole lot of white people up on blast. He put a whole lot of them, like Charlie Sheen, for instance, some other that guy that we talked about the other day, the white boy, and he's so cute. What's his name? And he's kind of mad, and he had a girlfriend that was black, and then he left her to be back with his wife. What's his name?
That's a lot of I want to know who that person is.
You know him, and LaBeouf.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf.
Yes. Okay.
He beat up everybody that he come in contact with, and we don't hear about him.
But okay, I'm gonna say something. Okay, so I have something to say to that, but I'll let you finish your point.
So let me. Yeah. So I'm looking around, and I'm like, Blueface and Krishan are normalizing this because when I was young, a man didn't beat up a woman in your face. Mm-hmm. Like I understand
behind closed doors. Access. That's behind closed doors business.
That was, and I mean, is it better? No. And beating a woman, period, is not. Keep your damn hands to yourself. You understand? Simple and easy. However, it was never in your face like how it is now. Like they're literally going toe to toe, thumping each other, videotaping it, and putting it on all sorts of websites and our social media. And it's like, do you understand what you're pushing? Like, do you understand what you're trying to normalize? Do you understand that you are normalizing this? And then I started to think to myself, everything that's happening in Toronto, what we see on the social media, what we see in media, period, it's like I almost feel like they're trying to indoctrinate us into being okay with toxicity. But anyway, what do you think about that, Jeanette? Like you from the T dot. You from the T dot O dot, so come tell me what you like.
Yeah,
are you noticing a change?
I think there's a lot more crime in the city. Yes, I agree with you, but I think, but you already mentioned the reasoning is like the pandemic has brought a lot of people in a bad situation, and when you're in a desperate situation, you get into things that you normally wouldn't do. Also, the youth being involved in violence and stuff is nothing new, but I think there's maybe a new brazenness to it, and I just think nobody gives a fuck. They're just like, listen, look what we just went through. Like,
and like isn't that more reason not to do this? Like,
yeah, well, you have to give people like what's going on. What are they doing to get these people off the street? What are they doing to give them something else to do? Like,
that's true.
There's been a reduction to access to, like, listen, this is Canada. We always have access. Like, if you don't want to be hungry, you won't be hungry. If you don't want to be in the street, you won't be in the street, right?
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying that, like, that connection to the new generation of those people who would be in the ages of, let's say, 14 to 19, let's say, I feel like there's a disconnect there. There's clearly a disconnect because, yes, we have these programs. What is the uptake? I think we need to look. There's a few things we need to look at to review, because there is no shortage of youth programs. We have them, but how are they doing the outreach? How are they enticing people? Like, how are they encouraging them?
Yeah, but Jeanette, you have to ask yourself, how do they combat what these kids are seeing?
Right. I think they're out of touch, and that's one of the reasons why you lose interest, or people interested in those programs, is they're out of touch. You need to do stuff that they care about. You need to appeal to them, to their interests. And so I think there's some type of, like, I'm not close enough to that, and like my nieces and nephews are up in their early 20s now, so they're past that age, but I think you need somebody to really look at why they're not engaging, and why these kids are turning to selling drugs and stuff like that. I think there's a culture thing, like music and stuff, but like they need to see the repercussions. Like, what are the repercussions when somebody gets caught doing that?
Yeah, all like how much jail time you looking at?
All of that. So I think there's something, there's definitely in the water. I haven't been able to pinpoint it yet. I'm a little further
from
it.
Kool-Aid, it's in the water, it's what they see, it's in the food. Because honestly, Richard, like I'm thinking to myself, when you have a generation that's looking to people like Blueface and Chrisean, and they're seeing the violence of it all, right? And that nobody seems to say, this is not acceptable. We're not letting you on any platform to do this.
Okay. If we get into the Chrisean, that's a whole. Okay, so let's move on to Chrisean and Chrisean Rock and Blueface. Okay, here's the thing. They are being rewarded for bad behavior. They are getting attention for bad behavior. They are getting money for this bad behavior. They got a full. All that nonsense that they were doing on social media led to them getting their own show on the Zeus Network, which is Zeus Network is a devil incarnate, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. It is incarnated. I'm telling you.
Like, it's so crazy. Again. So the guy who runs Zeus Network, I believe he's like he's a very young man. He's young for that kind of, like, for owning
young black man who he might be Haitian. To the devil. Yeah,
he might have a Haitian background. I can't remember, but he was on the Breakfast Club sometime last year, and that was one of the questions they had. And he, obviously you're gonna have a savvy answer, but it's very toxic, and I think I wish that, but people are paying for it. Like, he's the only way people they would change the direction of their content is if people weren't watching, but clearly people are watching. They feed that social media type of
question.
They literally feed into all the stuff that people like. Let's consider this: if the Shade Room had a TV network, a lot of this content would be living there. So
it's just in your face. Like, it's so in your face.
mm-hmm.
It's like, even if you don't want to be a part of that lifestyle, it's so in your face that it's hard not
Yes.
to watch. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
not to
Yes.
see it. You know what I mean? What I will have to say about Chrisean and Blueface is that I understand that they're young.
Mm-hmm.
I get they're young, right? But the things that they're doing will affect them for life.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And so I have a real problem with that being pushed as a narrative for young kids, young people that are looking up to them. Because unfortunately, there are some kids who might not have, a mom to say this, that, or the third, or a dad to put them in check when this and that. And they're looking to these people as an example and a role model. What I always wanted to say about Chrisean specifically.
Yeah.
You have a lot of issues, young lady. You have a lot of issues, way more than Blueface. Because I'll tell you one thing, Blueface is calmer than Chrisean.
Of course, yeah.
He has a little bit more subduedness. I'm not saying that he isn't out here doing the dirt. He's doing the dirt. But he's not popping off left, right, and center. And Chrisean pops off left, right, and center. Chris Brown, I don't know if he was maybe the right messenger to say all of what he said to Chrisean and to Blueface. However, he was right. He's right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. And his comment was reprimanding them for their behavior. Because how is it that years ago
the comment was very okay. Yeah, he probably felt very smart saying that, and that's fine. They need to be
called the wrong messenger.
They need to be called out regardless. To your point, but he's lashing out because obviously he's getting all. He's doing the song with Chloe Bailey, and he's brought a lot of attention to himself, and he's always gonna cry like a baby when things don't go his way. Which okay.
That's Chris Daniel.
So that's what this is again. But he's not pointing it out to be like reach out to them and try and be like help them. And
no,
like there's a lot of people in the community have like I've seen Chrisean have do a couple of podcasts and people brought her on because they see her. What do you call it when you see somebody and they're like a walking. They're a walking disaster.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people want to bring her under their wing because if you see pictures of her before she met Blueface, she was on the track. Right? She was beautiful. She looked
beautiful young lady.
Everything. So she got in this situation, and the thing is, Blueface is from the Bay. He's from Oakland. He's from an area where pimp culture, that the way of being in a relationship with a woman is like a pimp prostitute relationship, and they're going to control the woman in that kind of way. They're going to get that. They're going to get in their heads. They're going to do a lot of things to have a girl acting out of character.
The damn fool.
A girl this young. Like I believe she's only about if she's 20.
She's like 22 or
yes,
something like
in between in the 22, 23, the oldest. So like if we remember that, and again, it's not an excuse, but that's for her as a woman. She's very, as a young woman, she's very influential. She's very easy to influence at this stage and mold.
Yeah. Well, and now we see that
she's been getting attention.
The boy's face on her.
Yeah, so you see all those things. You think she chose like this is it's a classic pimp prostitute relationship going on here, and so she's getting all the attention. Now he's milking that because yes, his little stupid YouTube show kind of connected them in the first place, but everybody is paying attention to him because of her. Yeah, and they believe, or both or one of them, doesn't matter. Or they understand that a lot of the attention they're getting is because of this toxicity, as you brought up. And I think a lot of people have tried to talk to her. They don't even care about Blueface because pimping is control. She needs to get herself under control. Yeah. And supposedly she's pregnant. I don't know.
I don't know. I heard that she's pregnant, but yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't. If she is, then you need to put down the alcohol and the weed.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. But it's like Chris Brown bringing attention to that. He's just trying to take the heat off of him and throw it off to somebody else. And it was Blueface created a video saying, like, I know you're mad and everything, but don't be mad because your career is whatever. Which it was an asshole response. But what I got out of it is that first of all, Blueface likes any attention. So Chris Brown even mentioning his name was like,
right. And he should have just taken that in. You have all of one song, sir. All of
and
one
that song is like so random.
Okay? And it's old. And people have been waiting for something else from you, but I don't know if you have it.
He doesn't have it in him. Honestly, if he had it in him, it would have been out already.
It would have come out a long time ago. He's probably making more money this way than if he did release
clearly.
A song anyhow.
That's exactly what's happening.
And that's the sad part. Yeah. That's the part that I wanted to tackle, is that why are we supporting the nonsensicals?
Like, nobody's supporting, but I have a question for you. Why are the blogs putting this in our face?
Well, this is it.
We don't want to see it. I checked the
shade. I don't see this crap. I really don't.
I don't want to see the destruction of this beautiful young lady.
Beautiful Black young lady. And she was in track, and she was doing well for herself. She's coming along. She met this fool, dropped out of school, lost a tooth, fighting everybody known to man, making enemies everywhere she goes. It's really sad to see the demise of this young lady.
Yes.
And it be so publicized, because now demise is like the new in thing or something. Like, I don't get it. Why would they put that in our face?
It's actually really sickening, and you're putting out a good question, but I don't even know how to, because as humans, think about it. Back in the day, like, without even reality, remember they'd have this trauma news where they'd have these news stories that they would get, these terrible news stories that they put us in our faces, because they know that's what people watch. Like, the ratings are the highest when they report on gruesome stories.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's something about human nature that will.
We like to see. And I understand that, right? However, because we know human nature, right? Why? Like, I just, like, I get it. Like, I do get it. Like, I'm not stupid. I understand why a lot of this crap is going on. However, that to me is exactly what it is crap. And I don't regularly go out of my way to look at people like Chrisean and Blueface. However, that's my whole point in bringing up this issue, is that it's so in your face. Like, you can't, even if you want to look away and look at what? Like, look away from here and look at what? Because when I look away from here and I want to look at something different, then I'm seeing the toxicity right in my backyard, on the streetcars, on the buses. You know what, people? We've always said this on the show, that we need to have more grace for each other. And I'm trying really hard to have grace for people like Chrisean and Blueface and seeing all these violent acts happening around me.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, we, the people, we're feeding this monster.
This is it.
When I say we, I don't mean me, but
there's
there's a disgusting appetite watching this disaster happening.
It's just disgusting.
And I wish it would change, but for them, they're just young people seeing they're making money out. They're getting a bag off of all this nonsense. They're getting attention. They're getting clout. People are talking about them.
I have to tell you something, Chrisean. This gets stale, okay? After a while, even for a man like Blueface, you will get run through. He won't want you. You'll become less savory for him, even for the bag. So I want you to realize that you have a future, right? And you will get older, and time waits for no man. So get something together. I hope you're stacking your paper. I hope you're making all of this worth it. I hope you can look at yourself in the mirror, okay, and still see a piece of yourself. Because you're going to need that woman later on down the road. Because man's like this, eventually they're gonna dash you away. Eventually. As long as he's making money off of you,
yeah,
you're good. But and when the day comes where you get canceled or people stop watching you or stop messing with you, he will drop you like a hot potato. He will drop you. So I hope that you have a future plan. I know right now you don't even understand what the hell I'm talking about because that's how young you are. But eventually this will get stale. Okay? So moving on. But yeah, so what's another situations we want to get ourselves talking about tonight?
I was gonna talk about our good old friend down at CNN, Mr. Don Lemon. Don Lemon, come here, baby. Why are you talking about a woman's prime?
I don't understand it.
I'm surprised, he's a gay man. Usually gay men are a little bit more sensitive to women's issues and being a little bit more politically correct, but not necessarily, I guess, in this case.
Nope.
So Don Lemon, our friend Don Lemon, was in the news because he was on the CNN Live show with two other of his female co-hosts, and they were talking about a woman by the name of I can't remember. She's running for primary. What's her name? Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley announced her candidacy for the U.S. presidency, and so Nikki Haley had made a comment that the presidency should now you need to do like a cognitive test or something like that. She's pretty much saying that you should do something to test that you're cognitively able to be the president. Obviously, you know why they're talking about
Joe Biden. No,
Joe Biden. Sorry. Yeah, mental. Sorry. They called it mandatory mental competency test for politicians over the age of 75 years old.
Yeah, Joe Biden's a clone, though. He's a clone.
So. Yeah, so they were saying that, obviously he gets fuzzy and stuff like that. And so I think that's a good point because we're literally seeing it in real life. I mean, you never had a president. I don't think they had ever had a president that old. I can't remember, but I do believe he's one of the oldest. And I think after what we've been seeing, that should be. I'm aligned with Nikki Haley for saying that.
I agree.
And so then Don Lemon said he made a comment. I don't know if it's because he's anti-Republican or what, but he made a comment saying that he doesn't know why she would be talking about. She said here's exactly what he said. He said, I'm just saying the facts are in. Everybody at home, when a woman is in her prime, why would you? Oh, that's what he said. Scratch that, folks. This is what really started the fire on Don Lemon on Twitter. He had to even take a break from Twitter for a day before he had to apologize. So he said, so in response to Nikki Haley talking about the mental competency test, she said, this whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's wrong. It's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians are suddenly not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry, but when a woman is considered in her prime, it's in her 20s and 30s. That is wild, Don Lemon. I'm sorry. I am shocked. Don Lemon, come on. I thought you were an ally. Like, what? This woman is old. This woman is younger than Don Lemon. I can't remember her age. First of all, I think if anything, she's 51. Don Lemon is 55. We already know there's a double standard between men and women, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're talking about the competency to run as a president of the United States. And she had a very valid point, and he came back at her very petty. That's why I'm wondering, she definitely has to be she is a Republican nominee. And that's probably why. He just hates Republicans, and he was petty. And pretty much that's it. That's why he probably came at her like that. And I think
which is unacceptable because really you have no merit on that. And so what she's saying is valid. It's very valid because
we're seeing it right now.
Right. You want to make sure that the president that's running a country, this is not the president of the chess club. This is the president of a whole country that has to communicate and have dealings with other countries outside of the Americas. So yeah, you need to have your faculties, my friend. You need to be able to show everybody that you haven't lost your damn mind. So Joe Biden has lost it. I don't know where he left it, but it's not with him on a regular basis.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. It really isn't. And so isn't. What she's saying is valid. And why are we attacking her?
Yeah, because we say you're talking about her prime. She's not. We're not. She's running for president. We're not talking about her giving birth to a child.
Jesus.
We're not talking about her entering a beauty pageant.
Like, stop this. It's so retarded. You know, I don't like to use that word, but this is retarded. I don't care how you want to flip it or dice it. This is just silly. It's silly that he's even, but you know what? This is what happens whenever a woman is in a certain position.
Ooh,
we have to try to deteriorate her and her her qualifications, but her prime. She's pushing out kids. I'm sorry. Does it matter? As long as she has what she's talking about is intellect, brain power, stamina, innovation. This is what she's talking about. So I don't know why it went there, but no, you're not an ally.
Yeah, I was surprised. He later came back with his apology.
Yeah, pussy.
Of course, he kind of. Which he has to do to keep, obviously to keep things smooth at his place of employment.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have said that.
And it is pretty, what do you call it, a canned response. It's the only apology he could come out with. He said, the reference I made to a woman's prime this morning was inartful and irrelevant. Keyword irrelevant. As colleagues and loved ones have pointed out, and I regret it. I went...
a woman's you regretted, eh? So who threatened your job? Who told you that you're off the air? Of course, in 2.2
his friends. Seconds? He probably got hit up by a lot of his female friends.
Yeah.
A woman's age doesn't define her either personally or professionally. I have countless women in my life who prove that every day. I have a question for Don. Is it alcohol? Is it drugs? Is it? Because I've seen him on those. I mean, I've seen him in those New Year's parties. I know he can kick back. So
a little too lit.
Maybe something was going on there. His lips got a little loose.
Because they got loosey goosey. Drinking a little too much, Bridget. You don't know what you're supposed to say now. But you know what? I'm glad you bring that topic up because it kind of segues into the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which is, the transgender community trying very desperately to erase women. Now, I have tried to stay away from this topic, okay? And the reason why I say I've tried to stay away from it is because transgender people, listen, what you want to do with yourself is your business.
Yes.
You want to go change because you identify with this, that, and the third, do you. Whatever makes you happy. But as a Christian, I believe that we all have our maker to meet. And I don't know how he's going to like, the fact that you kind of, called his piece of artwork trash. So, and then changed it. I don't know, but that's your soul. That's your business. I'm in charge of my soul and my business. That's it. So I don't really care. And I am accepting and I have grace for people, or at least I try. So I don't really care what you want to do. However, here's where I have a problem, right? Is when you start calling females or women anything other than that. Females or women. We're not milk producers. We're not bleeders. We're not all sata nonsense I'm hearing. And there seems to be this agenda that's being pushed in the media as well, alongside a lot of transgender people, to eliminate the woman. It's almost like you want to take us away and replace us with transgender whatever.
What's an example of that?
And sorry, what'd you say?
What's an example of that?
Okay, so I'm seeing different examples all over the place where, say for instance, on YouTube, I don't have a problem with people who want men who are transitioning to women and want to wear makeup or to be feminine and to wear hair products and stuff like that. But an example to me is when it's almost like you want to replace me. It's almost like you don't give the just dues to women. Mm-hmm. In different I've seen different transgender people do makeup tutorials, clothing tutorials, and all these things. And I never see a call out to an actual woman. Mm-hmm. I never see an acknowledgement of an actual woman, right? Because I feel like we're the blueprint. It doesn't matter how you want to slice it or dice it, we're the blueprint. And then I'm hearing, transgender people call us everything other than woman. Mm-hmm. And that's where I have a bit of a problem. If I'm learning to coexist with you, yeah, you should learn to coexist with me. We're the blueprint. Okay? You didn't have anything. There's only two genders in this world, men and women. Mm-hmm. And if you're going from one to the other gender, hey, kudos to you, but don't say that there wasn't already a gender there. Yeah. We're already here. We're already here. So when you want to demean us to things like bleeders or chest feeders or different things I've heard, and I'm blown away. I'm blown away because women in general are very accepting. Yes, we're very accepting of the fact that you want to be a woman.
We were okay, girl. We were until these weird names started coming out.
Started coming out the woodwork, and they're insulting. The examples that are really insulting to me.
They're very insulting, yeah.
And not giving us our just dues. Because I feel like women in general, we've had a long fight to get to where we are right now, where we can vote, where we can go to school, where we can have makeup tutorials, where we can, go from being a man to a woman. We've come a long way. Yeah. And that fight didn't come just the other day when Tyrone wants to be Tisha. Okay. No, it didn't come the other day. This has been a fight for women of natural descent of women who have, and so for you to come along and want to kick me down to a breastfeeder, what the hell?
I have a good point. I get what you're saying. And it's interesting because I don't have TikTok, but on YouTube sometimes in the algorithm they'll serve me, like, and they do reels of TikTok videos, and a lot of, like, a big part of the TikTok thing that's popular is that's creating a big, huge platform for that community to express themselves unfiltered. And great, wonderful, please do that. But there's some ideals that I'm shocked to see. But from what I've gathered, and that's one of them is what you've just mentioned, but what I've gathered, there's two schools of thought there. There is a school of thought where they're being insulting and they're just completely delusional, and how they want the rest of society to not even treat them, because we're going to treat you like a human being and respect you. That's not the question, but it just, I don't know. There's just some thoughts that I'm just like, what? Like, right? You said, like, if you would want, like, they're saying it is transphobic. So say I am, so let's reverse it and use my scenario. Say I am a woman and there's a trans man. So a woman, somebody born as a woman and changed themselves. They did all the stuff to say they're a trans man. So if I, as a regular woman here, say no, I'm not attracted and never would date a trans man, then I'm transphobic. There's a school that's the extreme thought over there, right? So that's like kind of something like you said, the bleeders comments and this scenario.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's an extreme school of thought there. And then there's a school of thought where they're like, no, we respect women. We know we love women. We identify as them, and we want to be a part of that community and respect them and not take anything away from them. So there's that school of thought, which I understand. Like, that's the more cohesive, like, we're all, like, just like you said, we are trying to learn and understand and respect these individuals for their decisions,
exactly,
right? And their identity. and they're trying to understand where we're coming from as well, and respect and understand that they're not us.
Period.
They want to identify that way and make the changes to kind of get closer to that and feel comfortable to that part of their identity, but they know that there's a difference between who they are and
This is it.
and a woman who was born a woman,
an actual woman. Yeah.
And so that's the thing, there's two schools of thoughts, and it's crazy, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
And just to end with that so we can go on to the call out, but my thoughts on this is, if women are willing to accept you as a woman, when you're transitioning from a man to a woman, if we're willing to accept you, I don't think that you really want to mess with the group of people that are most accepting of you, because this is still new to our world. It's still new of an idea to our communities, and so take the acceptance where you can get it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be right cold and rude. Take the acceptance where you can get it,
or meet us. Everybody has you. You have to meet everybody where they're at.
Exactly. But if I'm willing to do that, don't try to discard me like I'm not, like I ain't shit.
Yeah.
Don't try to replace me as though you are now the new woman. You are the new style of woman. No. We can live in two things can exist and be true at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can exist together. I know that there are some women who are not going to be accepting, but there's also going to be some men who are not going to be accepting. And that's fine. That's what I'm saying. Go where you're accepted. I've always preached that. Go where you are accepted and where you're loved.
Yeah.
Stop trying to fit into a mold that you can't fit into. Go where you're celebrated. And if we're doing that, then I'm sorry, don't call me no breast bleeder or whatever the heck. Listen, brah, no, it don't work so. It don't work so. I'll give you a lot of leeway with things. But when you think that for some particular reason, I don't know, it's very strange. But you know what? Let's move into the call out, girl. Yes, and so the call out is we haven't done the call out in a hot minute, but we're gonna do it today. We sure will. And this is where we put each other in the hot seat and we ask questions that must be answered. That's the hard part, people, is that you have to answer. And so I have a question. And my question is, what is the hardest decision you've had to make?
Oh, boy.
Hard. I'll go first to give you a chance. So, okay. Now, my daughter and her father, we were together. I loved him a lot. I loved him a whole lot. And I didn't have my daughter until I was 31. So I want to put that out there because I waited thinking I was going to find the right one and we were going to have a child. Well, yeah, it didn't go so. They never did go so. But I think it was a hard decision to part from him, not because of myself, but because of my daughter. Because no woman, despite what you'll hear in the streets, no woman wants to have a child alone. We just don't. We're not built like that.
No.
That's just tough. Not how it's intended. It's just not something that we go out of our way to do. And so with that being said, when I was with her father, he was doing all such a shenanigans. He tried to make me into a sister wife. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but he tried to do all these things. And I had to make a decision. And that decision was not giving my daughter the life that I've always wanted to give my child, which is, a mom and dad in the same setting, in the same home. And it was really hard. It was hard. It was a hard decision to make. But, there's words of wisdom that have always come to me from people who have God's put in my life. And I always say this, you helped me make that decision. You don't know that you did. You didn't tell me, oh, well, this is what you need to do. But there was something that you said to me one time when I was trying so desperately to try to make this work and try to have him involved in my child's life. And you said, what kind of father are you trying to give her? I understand you want her to have her dad and all that, but you have to ask yourself, but what quality of dad are you trying to give her? You know, and I sat with that for a couple months.
Mm.
And I asked myself that over and over and over again. And it dawned on me that this is not, I'm not trying to make a life where she has to wonder if her parents are in love. Mm-hmm. I don't want to try to make a life where she sees me crying and in tears all the time and all this stuff. I'm not trying to do that. I'm really not. And he wasn't doing what he still isn't, but he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, you know? And then I met my husband, and he showed me what a father is supposed to be like, period. And like, it made perfect sense once I met my husband. But before even meeting him, I had to decide, I had to draw a line, a line in the sand. And it was hard because you want your child to have the best.
Of course.
Most parents. I don't know about these new generation.
If you're a half decent parent, of course, I can't imagine anything
You want
less.
your child to have the best. You want them to have better than you did, right? And so I grew up with both my parents. You know what I mean? I had a mom and dad in the household, and so for me to want her to have better, that she should have parents in the household, right? But that wasn't the case. And she has parents in the household now, and I'm really glad that I made that decision because that toxicity that I'm talking about from before, it would have been all throughout my house. It would have been in her life. Ooh. She would have thought of toxicity as being normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? You know when we were like, yeah, I totally forgot about that. You jogged my memory. But it kind of, now that you say that, it's like, even when I was trying to give help, yeah, you were very much in a trying to do what was best, but there was a lot of confusion and toxicity happening, right? But I think at the time, one thing I did know is that you the only reason you were still attached to that person was you wanted your daughter to have a father, which is obviously
that was it,
a noble reason.
I was willing to give up my life.
I wasn't even thinking about the fact of the relationship continuing. I was more thinking about her and her just getting that weird energy because the person is not
he's not right in his head top.
No, well, not that way, but like there's like he wants to do his thing, but then you're like, who knows? I don't remember what was happening at the time, but I was more focused on her picking up on the energy.
Yes, it's true.
I didn't even I forgot about her. Like, what if you guys were in the relationship or living together? Like that, it would even be even worse. She'd have like anxiety issues, all these type of things where there's a relationship where there's a lot of ups and downs and topsy-turvy happening between mom and dad.
So, and you're right. And you are right. It was more focused for her. But here's the thing is that for some particular reason, men that have children with women think that they have that woman forever. And that the decision I had to make was, I'm cutting you off entirely from that. There is no coming back. There is no going back. There is no, let's flirt and do all of this. Nah, bro. We're dones. We're dones.
You don't want not even a hint.
Not even a sniff. You understand? Okay, because I wasn't pussyfooting around. I was serious. And at that point, he was using my child as a way to kind of keep me on the hook for whenever he was ready, because he saw that I had such a love for my child and I wanted the best for her, that he was trying to, dangle carrots every now and then. And so mentally, I had to say, enough. It was hard. It was really hard, but I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did. And I'm so glad that you brought to light, like, what kind of father are you trying to give her? You know what I'm saying? One that's going to treat you like that, because a real man is not going to treat the woman of his child in some funky way, because he realizes that that woman is the woman that holds his child at night. So you don't want to mess with that woman's mind. You want it to be as stable as possible. But, but that was a hard decision I had to make.
Of
And
course, yeah.
I'm glad that I made it, because
Mm-hmm.
now
You're
she
so
has
happy.
a,
Yeah.
yeah, she's happy. She has, her dad here that, is all up in her things and does everything with her, for her, about her, you know. And so what I really, really wanted for her is come to fruition. It
Mm.
just wasn't with the biological father. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. What about you, girl? What's
Well,
your
first of all, that's a good one. Let me say, that's a good one. That's a real good one. Well, while you were talking, I think a
It took me
couple.
all day. It took me all day to think about that man. It took me all
Okay.
day. It took me all day. It took me all
Okay.
day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it was really good. I don't know if you could have come up with that on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I do all day, all day.
Um, yeah. So I have a couple, but I think one that I'm comfortable with sharing is when I decided to move out and buy my own place. And when I use the term, I
Yes.
use the term buy very loosely. Like I'm going to be honest. I had a lot of financial support from my
That's
mother.
okay. That's
My
okay.
mother in particular, I told her what I really wanted, and she she acquiesced. However you say that word. She, was approved, because in her opinion, she was hesitant at, like, say a few years back when I wanted to do that. It's her, a lot of Caribbean people and maybe immigrant families, they believe,
Yep.
especially with their girl children, that you should, when you leave the house, you should be going to your married house. Like, if you're getting married and you're gonna live with
Yeah.
your husband, like,
Yeah.
that was like her wish. And
Mm-hmm.
fair enough, that's how she grew up, and that was in her time. But in this day and age, after a while, you know I was ready to step out, because
Yep.
I was just like 31 or 32 when I think I decided, about 32, I turned 32 when I finally got my place. So I was like, it's time. Like, it's, if the marriage isn't here now and it's not coming
Mm-hmm.
anytime soon, then I need to get comfortable with living on my own. Because that my scenario, it was a very dire, but I was thinking, what if anything were to happen and then all of a sudden I'm on my own? Like if, like, God forbid anything happened
Yeah,
to me.
no, you're right.
So I
You're
need to
right.
learn to. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it was more. I had to force myself to be like, no, 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 no. The comfort of being in my parents' home, great. But as I'm a grown person, I need to know how to own adult, as they say, adulting, right? I need to learn how to
Adulting,
be.
that's right.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
know how to be an adult on my own, and so it was very nerve wracking. I had lots of sleepless nights between, like, signing those papers and everything. At the time, I was not like, I had a job, but it was not paying that great. So there's a few things I had
Mm-hmm.
to do, like getting a roommate and all these type of things to make that happen. But it was scary. I had like advice, right? But it was mostly just
Mm-hmm.
me. At the end of the day, my name is on the thing, and
Yep.
but I appreciate my parents and my sister for helping me to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very scary. But I'm happy I did it, because now I can say, like, I know how to do some things on my own and manage a household and do all those
That's
things
right. That's
without
right.
their I'm gonna want to say interference, but without their help.
Yes. And to speak to the point that you made about Caribbean parents, it is very true. When you're a girl child, it's like move out and go where?
Where and pay
Right? And go
and
and do what? What be? I don't know. Like, just be. Um but no, yeah. When I wanted to go to away to school, first of all, I never applied for anything in Toronto. Everything was outside of the area. And so yeah, to even go away to school, like I had a reason to leave. And they were still like, but how come you can't try apply down here? And it's like, but no, I feel you. Like you have to eventually fly the nest. You know what I'm saying? And it's nice when your parents can support you with that. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's hard to even find someone like that will support you. Like parents like ours that are gonna be like, okay, but we're not really know, but okay. All right, then. It's like they don't want to do it, but they see the sense in it, and they can see that it's something that we really want to do. And once they see that you really want to do it, they know that you'll keep it going and that you're serious about it. I think that's what it is. Really, is that once they see that, okay, she's not playing around, she's serious about this thing here. So let's,
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But it is a hard decision to make.
Oh yeah. I'm happy I did it when I did. It worked out. It was not easy. Anybody listening, it's not easy, but anytime you're trying to make a change or move into the next level in life, you're going to feel some discomfort, but you just have to move past it.
You do. You have to move past it. And, it's funny because there's a lot of people. We went away to school. We are about 4.5 hours away from Toronto to go to school. And so the people that we left here, they were living with their parents and still lived with their parents. And some of them are still currently living with their parents.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, bro, you have to come out your mama house sometime. Like sometime, Bridget. But us moving away gave us practice. It gave us practice. I mean, yes, Windsor is very small in comparison to Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
But it gave us practice, and so they could see that we could do it. Do you know what I mean? Like our parents could see, okay, they can do it. You know what I mean? They'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? But these hard decisions, sometimes that's what life's all about, is a hard decision.
Yeah, it is. That's when it shows you're growing up.
Right? And that you've evolved. And we should all evolve. You know what I mean? Like that should be the goal in life, is to evolve, not stay the same. After a while, things get boring, Bridget. You have to do something with yourself. And so we're going to do something with ourselves now, and we're going to get up out of here. And so we do hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show, so that whether you lead with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful. We'll holla back real soon and in a hurry.
Bye.